Hi, I'm Brian Russell with Deep Dive Spirituality, and been reading a really outstanding book by Dr. Amy Oden. You can check out my full interview with her on my podcast, Deep Dive Spirituality Conversations podcast. But in her book right here, right now, she talks about the power of contemplative practices. And during this difficult season that we find ourselves in, I talk to lots of pastors and, am I going to open my church? Am I not going to open my church? How do I make that decision? There's all this anxiety. People are upset about masks. We worry about the economy. 1 in 3 persons has had their work affected so far. There's anxiety about the future. And one of the things, though, that we can focus on in control is we can observe how we react to all of these stressors that are going on. And part of a deep dive spirituality is getting a handle and growing in an awareness of the false narratives that we actually feed ourselves. And what do I mean by that? Well, let me just suggest a question that Amy Oden asks in her book. This is on page 18. When we sit in silence, or we journal, or we just give a time for a pause and we lay aside all of our busyness, ask this question: what voice most often dominates your internal conversation? What voice is speaking in? What are the thoughts that are going through your mind? And one of the most powerful ways to open yourself up to God for more growth is to actually name the noise that goes through our minds on a day-to-day basis. And try in your journals, what are you really thinking? Do a thought download. What voice dominates your internal conversation? That'll say a lot about your theology. And notice especially if it contrasts with the theology that you say you have in your head. I mean, what's really going through your head, though? So what voice most dominates your internal conversation? Then notice how that affects your body. Sounds easy, but I can almost promise you that this will be a life-changing experience. Again, I'm Brian Russell. Thanks for listening to this deep dive spirituality conversation.